Heroes of Fantasy Football podcast.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Chris, your host for this week. I'm joined by my friends, Joe, Matt, and Richie, and this is the Heroes of the Fantasy Football podcast. Gents, how are we doing tonight?
Oh, undefeated for week 3. Let's keep going, moving the chains.
I'm also undefeated in our Dynasty League, who I'm going up against my cohort over on the right side of your screen, Mr. Rich Kopech. How are you feeling heading into our Week 4 matchup?
I'm feeling good. My team is holding steady, just like I was saying last week. We're still here. Things are looking good. So just gonna carry on, and hopefully I beat you this week, and I'll be 4-0, and keep the smooth sailing going.
There are only 2 undefeated teams left, and we play each other this week, so this will be a huge week, and I'm excited. Don't be surprised if a pizza shows up on your doorstep, because gonna put that juju out there.
Fine.
A good juju.
I'll be home all Sunday if you want to deliver it.
Okay, I might hand deliver it. Yeah, we'll see.
Hand delivered. We got one person who was undefeated this week for fantasy, and Joe, you guys are undefeated in our Dynasty League, and I'm just sitting here having a day, I guess. But yeah, hey, with all those bad beats out of the way, let's just hop right into it. We got our waiver show today. We're going to go through, sorry, not waiver show. My apologies. Our weekly starts and sits. I apologize. I'm dumb. Moving on from there, we have our old format back to an extent. We each have one start for every position, the quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and tight end. And we're going to kind of give our piece and go from there. So to start us off, Joe, who is your quarterback start of the week?
My quarterback start is none other than rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. And hear me out. I know the line looks bad, but if you look at his performance from week to week, he is steadily improving. And last week, he threw for 363 yards. That is nothing to shy away from. And if you look at his upcoming schedule, he plays the Rams, the Panthers, the Jags, a bye week, and then he plays Washington. Those aren't the best defenses in the league, and I think this is the time to pick up Caleb and start him in your lineup. I might be crazy, but there was a thought in my mind to sit Lamar against the Buffalo Bills and start Caleb Williams against the Rams. I think he's going to have a good week. I think he's going to throw another touchdown, at least one, and he's going to at least throw for 200 yards, and you're going to be very happy that you started him in fantasy.
Definitely bold. I've got it, especially with the part of you replacing Lamar Jackson over Caleb Williams.
I didn't, but I'm thinking of it.
You're thinking, so you have it. I was like, okay, so guys, he might be a liar, is what he's trying to say. He might be a liar, a fraud, some might say. But yeah, moving on from there, we'll go with myself. At my QB start of the week is Baker Mayfield. Had a bit of a down week last week, which was I think a bit of a surprise personally. The Denver Broncos. I think that whole game was a little weird. I'm going to be honest with you. While going up against Philly, which I would like to think is better competition all around the board, I'm going to go with perhaps a revenge week. I'm going to hope it was a down week for Baker Mayfield. It's just like, I don't know, something happened. Something wasn't mixing correctly. Maybe someone had their number out for somewhere. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But I hope that's kind of a thing of the past. I expect this high sort of flexibility offense to be back on track going up against Philadelphia, utilizing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, utilizing Rashad White and Bucky Irving at the same time. And I expect Baker Mayfield to be a huge benefactor in that. So yeah, that's going to be my QB start of the week. With that being said, Rich, what do you got for us?
So my QB start of the week is going to be CJ Stroud going against Jacksonville this week. Really, this pick has just put faith back into starting him. I feel like he's kind of fallen out of the graces of the people after the last 2 weeks. They were subpar at best, finishing outside the top 15 for quarterback over his last 2 weeks. The 25th quarterback of the week last week. It might worry you, but overall this week I wouldn't be concerned. Jacksonville that he plays against, and really would love that. I do imagine a big bounce back week against that team that just got destroyed by Josh Allen 2 days ago. We did see what happened in just one half of football. So, I mean, not that I'm saying that he's going to be exactly just like Josh Allen, but I do think that CJ knows how to exploit a bad defense. And I do think that Jacksonville has a bit of a problem right now. They are giving up the second most points on average this season to the quarterback position. So I think it's a safe play for sure. So I definitely, I'm confident with CJ this week.
I hope so, because I'm playing him against you. And I would love a huge, big blow up game for Mr. CJ Stroud. Please, let's manifest this together. But jumping in here to my quarterback start of the week is going to be none other than Dak Prescott going against our New York Football Giants. Cowboys have looked real bad so far this season. They have zero run game. The offensive line hasn't looked the best, and his pass catchers haven't really done him any good favors. But going up against the Giants on the road this week, Dak has a history of just torching the Giants. He's got a career average of 22 completions, 265 yards, and 2 touchdowns per game when we meet up with him. He's also 12-2 against our Giants, so this is going to be a situation where you're going to fire him up. So it's just CeeDee Lamb is about to go nuclear this week, and that's going to elevate Dak Prescott's numbers through the roof. He could easily finish inside the top 5 the quarterback position this week in fantasy. So start him with full confidence.
That must really hurt for you. I've got to be honest with you, as a Giants fan, for you to even say those words.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
Speaking of the truth, I actually want to go back a little bit, if that's okay, for some fun. Hey, Matt, could you read off that that picture you put in our Dynasty group chat comparing Daniel Jones to a certain other quarterback that was that the team was referenced before? If we could, we were talking about how bad Jacksonville was as a team, involving the defense. Can I just hear that, please,
Yes.
on air here? Yeah, go ahead and bring that up for me, please.
So let me
I just want
just-
for fun, for fun.
hold on 1 second. Let me just get this. All right, so Daniel Jones has a 64% completion percentage compared to Trevor Lawrence's 63%. 2,500 passing yards compared to 29 passing yards. 330 rushing yards, 254 rushing yards for Trevor Lawrence. It's basically just real bad.
Definitely not ideal at all. But hey, sometimes it is what it is. You just kind of roll with the punches. But with that being said, with enough of the funny digressions out of the way, that's our quarterbacks for this week. We'll head right on into the running back position. Joe, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, my first running back is none other than Cam Akers on the Houston Texans. Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce are still not practicing as of today, which is Wednesday the 25th. Joe Mixon has that ankle injury, and Dameon Pierce has that lingering hamstring injury. I don't believe that I don't think Mixon's going to play at all. And if Dameon Pierce does play, I think he's going to be on a very limited snap count, which means Cam Akers is the guy. We saw him catch a touchdown last week from CJ Stroud, in which it was a kind of lackluster performance. And now they're going up against, as we were just talking about, Jacksonville, which defense looks very, very bad, to put it quite frank. So even against a good defense, I'll take a starting running back on a very good offensive team like the Texans. You're guaranteed to at least get 8 to 9 points, even in a flex spot. If you slot him in right there, you're going to be happy with him. He's going to get the workload, and you should be getting some nice fantasy points to get a win.
I was like on the fence of thinking about how I wanted to put him as my sit or not this week, because I didn't know if I was too confident, seeing how the Texans kind of like operated this past week. But I think I don't know if I'm gonna like slot him in like a super high roster slot, but I'm definitely not on the sit train when I like rethought about it. I think as long as Mixon and Pierce, of course, don't play, I could definitely see the value going into the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and hit up with the next running back here, and Aaron Jones. Just came off of a stellar week against those Houston Texans. He's been playing pretty well so far. His First week, Giants, 17.9 points. Second week against the 49ers, 7.3 points, the not so great one. And then week 3, 23.3 points. He's currently ranked 11 overall running backs, going up against the Green Bay Packers, which is a fantastic storyline game. You can imagine that there is going to be at least a push to get Aaron Jones the ball a decent amount, I think, at the very least. So that I'm starting in with confidence there, especially after last week. He's convinced me. I'm like, okay, go have it. Be in my RB2 slot, whatever. Go for it. That's kind of how I'm feeling. Rich, what do you got for us?
So my running back start of the week is going to be Devin Singletary playing against Dallas tomorrow. And honestly, I'm really starting to become more in on Singletary as the season goes on. A lot more than I was in the preseason, that's for sure. He's been basically getting all the carries there. He's being effective with the usage and sprinkling in some targets as well in the past game. So we love to see that. Last 2 weeks, he's had 16 carries, both times. And last week, he did have 4 targets. So definitely, I mean, as an RB or late round RB that you probably picked him up as, can't complain about that at all. Last week against the Browns defense, which nothing to snuff at, he had a RB10 performance on the week. So that is good signs for him. He's getting slowly better, I believe, and more integrated into this offense. And with that, he's going against the Cowboys this week. Now, the Cowboys are having some major difficulties stopping the run, as we can see. They are giving up the most fancy points on the season so far. So I definitely can say that he is going to have a safe floor with plenty of upside. So get him in your lineup.
Okay, very good.
All right, so I'm up here with my running back start of the week. It's going to be Brian Robinson Jr. going up against the Arizona Cardinals. This week, there's not going to be any Austin Eckler coming off that concussion. He did not fly back with the team, so he is probably going to miss this week, which means a increased workload for Mr. Brian Robinson Jr. Arizona defense also does not scare me at all, ranking bottom 7 in rushing yards allowed and bottom 9 in fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs. So he should be as close to a workhorse back as we can get in week 4, which props him way up the rankings for me. He should see solid running back 2 volume with back end RB1 upside. The Cardinals can get beat on the ground, and they are going to use him like no one's business. So start him up and watch all the points roll in.
Would you say, before anyone else wants to say anything, that Brian Robinson Jr. is like one of the steals of the draft this coming year? I mean, he's performed so far fantastically well.
100%. He was one of the guys drafted late that he's just becoming Mr. Necessary. He has the workhorse role in this offense. Last week was fun watching Austin Eckler score a touchdown, but he's also not there outside of third downs. So Brian Robinson Jr. is just dominating the snap share, and he's just performing. It's plain and simple. He's just good. Start him. It's perfect.
Alrighty, perfect. And with that, that's our running backs. Heading over to the wide receiver position. Joe, start us off.
So my start this week is Deontay Johnson. He's on the Panthers, and they're playing Cincinnati. Last week, they made a quarterback change. They went with Mr. Andy, the Red Rocket himself, and he showed up. Deontay Johnson was targeted 14 times in that game. Let me just say that again. 14 targets. That is crazy. He recorded 8 of them for catches for 122 yards and a touchdown. Now Adam Thielen's on IR. It's Deontay's show over there, and the pass game is going to go mainly to him. I don't think Leggett, Mingo, or Sanders are going to be very relevant. They're going to get a couple passes here and there, but it is Deontay Johnson's show now. He is the number 1 wide receiver. You're going to get the points from him, why you drafted him so highly in drafts, and it's about time.
One thing I want to say, too, to add to your point of why he's a good start is you don't think Andy Dalton is going to want to go to the Bengals and put some hurt down on them. I mean, this is revenge game as plain as day. He's going to go in and just want to sling the ball, and Deontay Johnson is going to be a monster this week.
Also, I just want to point out that it's the Red Rifle, not the Red Rocket. Red Rocket's a dog part.
He's my Red Rocket.
Alrighty. To get us off of that, I want to pose a question regarding this resurgence of the Panthers. Or honestly, I should just say surgence because it's not really a resurgence. How long is this lasting? Of this sort of Andy Dalton era? Are we thinking like 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I want to hear it. Like just quick. What are we thinking? How long?
All season,
Gotta
unless
look
he
at the
gets injured.
schedule. Yeah.
I heard all season from Richie, and you said just looking at the schedule. Is that what you said?
Yeah, let me just look at the schedule because I mean,
Sure.
He's one of those guys where he should do perfectly fine, because he's a decent quarterback. He can run a system the right way. So Joe, I'll let you answer while I look at the schedule and tell you my answer.
So we're talking about Andy Dalton, right?
Yeah, just Andy Dalton. Like, how long is this sort of era gonna gonna go on for? Like, will he be dominant for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? More than what he's already done.
I think he's going to be like a mid-range quarterback. Like, I mean, he has the Bengals next week. Then he has the Bears, who their defense is okay, but I mean, their offensive line struggles have given the ball back to offenses a lot. Then he's got the Falcons, where Kirko change over there. Washington. Then he's got Washington. I don't know. I think he's going to be consistent. I don't think Bryce Young is going to get the start back anytime soon, especially with the way Andy Dalton was playing. So I think he's going to finish up this season, personally.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, listen to that schedule. I mean, the Bears is the only defense that really scares me, because they are decent. I mean, they've been shutting people down for the most part. Outside of that, I mean, the next time you're going to be afraid to start them would be probably New Orleans, but in division game, crazy things happen. So pretty good. I mean, his end of the season is a little bit rough, but he should maintain the job. I mean, the bye week in week 11, I think, would be the time where they reassess where Bryce Young is. I think they needed to sit him because he was just broken. I mean, he was put in a really bad situation and he couldn't do anything. Playing is not going to fix him right now. So he needs to watch Andy Dalton play, pick up a little bit, take a break, reassess, and then I think he can come back. I don't think the book is completely shut on him. There's at least like that back end cover that's around a paper, like a hardcover book. That's still open, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what this team does.
Also, for the record, Pat McAfee said it's Red Rocket season, referring to Andy Dalton. Just say.
Get bodied, Rich. Get bodied.
Apologies.
Oh,
to
man.
Mr. McAfee and
All right, guys, relax. No fighting. It's okay. But yeah, no, okay. So we're all around Andy Dalton train for most of the season. Hopefully, Bryce Young's career does not end up like Zach Wilson. Please, that would be really, really bad. But moving on to our next wide receiver, my pick here. I got DJ Moore into this week. Kind of following up with Joe here, who had Caleb Williams as his QB start here going up against the LA Rams. Moore had a better performance last week than he had the previous weeks. It's only been getting better fantasy points wise and also stats wise as well. And we're hoping to kind of keep that going in a sense. It's kind of what you're thinking. You're hoping that more of the pieces start to link together for this offense. It's taking a while, 100%, and it definitely longer than I feel like we were promised. But I feel like for expectations' sake, it somewhat makes sense. I mean, Caleb Williams had a great week last week in terms of fantasy points, as mentioned by Joe before. So I'm hoping that more of these pieces come together. DJ Moore finally finds his footing. If you've been a little hesitant because of those first 2 weeks, last week you had a fine stat, 11.5 some odd points, right? That's fine. and we're hoping that continues until the LA Rams this week.
It's really the
Rich-
offensive line. That's the only worry. But yeah, go ahead.
Completely agree that offensive line is almost as bad as the Giants from a couple years back. But yeah, we'll move on from there. Rich, what do you got for us?
So my wide receiver is going to be a wide receiver that we picked last week. I can't remember who picked him. I want to say it was Matt. Yeah,
Sorry.
but I'm going back to the well again with him, and that would be Jackson Smith-Njigba playing against the Detroit Lions this week. And I think this week is going to have a different tune than last week. I know we kind of said it that the train has left the station, and pie on our face right there. But I mean, let's be honest. Season's still early, so there's plenty of time left. And I think what I've seen so far, I'm not giving up hope. This week against the Lions, we know how well they can defend the run, simply giving teams a hard time against them trying to run. So with that, it seems that teams are finding more success in the passing game. So this bodes well for the wide receivers there. And this week, I think there should be some more coverage on Metcalf. I'm not going to say whether he'll do good and bad like Chris, but I'm just going to say that we should probably see a little more flash of week 2 from JSN.
That's rough.
I like that Richie is starting the voodoo and picking all of Matt's players as his starts of the week.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm glad somebody caught on.
I see. You dirty dog, you. I see. I can't wait for all these starts. Now, for me, as well as those listening, I hope all of these end up doing well, because then next week I get to come into this show and have some fun and rejoice in my victory. But Jackson Smith-Njigba last week was just, I'm throwing out that game for the most part because the Dolphins were terrible. They could not do anything on offense, so they just didn't need to throw the ball. That's why it was a Charbonnet game, and that was about it. But all right, I'm gonna go here. I'm actually gonna pick another one of my guys that I'm starting against, Mr. Richie Kopak, Mr. T. Higgins, start of the week, going against the Carolina Panthers. Last week was his first week coming back from injury, played 90% of snaps, so he was a full-time player. He saw 6 targets, catching 3 of them for 39 yards. Not a great stat line, but he was also close to a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, but Joe Burrow was trying too hard and missed him wide open in the end zone. So, though we could be talking about him having a much better stat line if those happened. So, I understand we all witnessed the Panthers just put up a giant shellacking against the Las Vegas Raiders last week, but I don't expect that to happen again. Both defenses are pretty bad, going with the Bengals and the Panthers. So I think Higgins is going to be very involved this week. He's going to be necessary, which means they're going to have some points on the board. So it's really just that the Panthers are just better with Bryce Young on the bench. So you can start your teams, like going back to last year, you can just start your running backs against them, but that was it, because they were just so bad. It wasn't that they were good at defending the pass. It's just you didn't need to pass on them. You just run the ball down their throat, get up by 3 scores, and sit your starters and let the backups play the rest of the game. I don't think that's going to happen as much now that Andy Dalton can sling it and they have pieces. Like, if anything, it proves that the offense will work. It just needs the right leader. And apparently that's the Red Rocket himself. So we'll see.
Hey Joe, how are we feeling about T. Higgins? I know you're our kind of resident T. Higgins hater, so I'd like to hear from you if that's okay.
Is he healthy? Is he healthy?
Matt, is he healthy?
90% of snaps. It means he's going to go out, get injured in the first snap, and not play a single game, because that's just what T. Higgins does. It's the most T. Higgins thing. But this week, he's going to be good. He's going to go over the curses, and he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, they can't do worse than last week. So,
Ooh.
I mean, they could, I guess, but I think he takes a step up this week.
Oh, fantastic. All right. That is our wide receivers. Now our next position is the tight end. A huge disclaimer before we get into here. This is a void, a wasteland. Some would call it the perilous destruction, endless valley of nightmares, is what I'm going to call it right now. Yeah, please take everything we're about to say with a grain of salt. We don't know what's happening. This is like the Wild West, but way worse. This is
The
kind of like the
NFL doesn't
Wild.
know what's happening.
Literally, this is kind of like we're gonna call it the Wild East. That's what I'm coining it right now. Mark that right there. I want hashtag Wild East trending. Okay. Anyway, moving forward from this, Joe, who is your first tight end that you're going to be starting this week?
Yeah, they're all pretty scary, but I feel like this is like the one I'd put all my eggs in the basket on is Dallas Goddard on the Eagles playing against Tampa Bay, because honestly, who else is Jalen Hurts going to throw the football to? There's no one else. We have AJ Brown hurt. We have Deontay just got a concussion. We don't know when he'll be back. And then there's Jahan Dotson, who played he played 88% of snaps and was targeted 3 times. Yay! As a Dotson owner, it's sad.
Yay!
Yeah, Goddard last week was targeted 11 times, and this is also a game where Deontay was in for part of it, so that still bodes well.
When you say Deontay, do you mean Devonta Smith?
Deontay Smith, yeah.
Okay.
Devontae Smith, Deontay.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, Smith. So yeah, Goddard's the only target there, in my opinion. I feel like the Eagles are gonna struggle now with them being so low on passing options, but for fantasy purposes, I think Goddard is going to have another big game. I'm projecting at least 10 fantasy points.
Saquon could catch the ball.
It's true.
It's gonna be the offense of 2 players.
Just like he did for that first down, right?
Okay.
That's rough.
Too soon.
rough. All right, we're gonna move on from that one, from that sick burn. I can actually smell the fire in the background. I'm gonna go with my start. Now it's gonna seem a little weird considering what we just talked about on Monday. For those of you who haven't watched that show, that was the waiver show. Go ahead and watch that one. But Zach Ertz is my start. Now, he ended up finishing just fine at the second half of the game after Joe had said that he hadn't been caught a single pass. Funny enough. This is in the response to the wasteland. He's just consistently hitting this 6-point mark, and I'm gonna be honest with you. As someone that has seen now the fall off of Mark Andrews playing 33% of snaps with 0 points last week and Travis Kelce having 5 points. This is a terrifying time to be alive for an owner that drafted those guys in the higher rounds. Okay, once again, you should be taking your advice. Don't draft these guys in the higher rounds. Just settle for whatever else. But I digress. Just having this sort of consistency is something that I'm gonna have to be okay with, and I'd recommend that you guys be okay with as well, because that will win you weeks. Just having that extra little bump, in my opinion.
Yeah, Ertz isn't gonna win you the week, but he ain't gonna lose it for you.
Exactly.
That's tight end in 2024. Unfortunately, you just want to get points, just a few. We're not asking for a lot. Just please, just a little bit.
Rich, what do you got for us?
So, yeah, just going with the theme as we're talking about how tight end seems to be a little bit of a struggle bus this season. I think you can look Tyler Conklin's way this week, playing against the Denver Broncos. He should, see a uptick in volume. I think in targets, in my opinion. I think that what we're going to see is more of a Patrick Surtain covering his best weapons, and thus kind of leaving more of an opportunity for Tyler to see a larger share of the pie. And so, they're playing at home, should be a comfortable game. They looked good last week, so I like overall his performance as well. So it should, bode well for him, and I imagine good things again. So let's keep it rolling this week, and I would say fire up Tyler Conklin if you got him.
Not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna choose one of my tight ends, and I'm going against you, but didn't. So it's all right.
I couldn't go 4 for 4 in case your team really does blow up on me, and then I really just look silly. So
About 60% of this list is just your team, which is either really good or really bad. We'll have to see this week.
which has been a theme in the podcast. A couple of times we've talked about like sells and all. You guys were selling my team. Now you're trying to do some reverse juju on me, but we'll see. We'll see who comes out.
We're targeting you. That's what's happening.
Yeah,
That's why.
all right.
Of course. Duh.
It's all right. I'll just start punching down. It's fine. It's fine. We're good. Hopefully,
All right.
hopefully I win this week because otherwise I'm gonna have to do something. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump in here with my tight end start of the week. It's gonna be Cole Kmet going against the L.A. Rams. He has 2 weeks with over 75% snap share and a huge breakout performance last week. Keenan Allen still looks like he's going to miss some time, and he's going to be used as Caleb's safety net. We saw it last week. Kmet could be one of these fluky tight ends, but then again, like we said, every tight end is this year. So I'm just going to follow the targets, the snaps, and the matchup. Now, the LA Rams defense is allowing the third most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. So I think this week you can start Kmet with as much confidence as you possibly can with any tight end. So he should be able to get you. He should be able to PPR his way into a solid output for you.
I like this. I like that one a lot. I think I like that. Decent bet. I'm gonna be honest with you, personally. But moving on. That is our starts. Now, who are we sitting this week? Joe, why don't you start us off?
I mean, there's a lot of players you could be sitting because there's a lot of players hurt and underperforming. But I think one that I want to talk about this week that I think might be a trap for some people is Kareem Hunt. He was just elevated, and I feel like a lot of people are going to slot him into their rosters. I don't know how much he has practiced with the team yet, and I don't think even if he does play that he's going to get a full workload with Carson Steele over there still. That's been with the team, knows the playbook. I think he's still going to get a majority of the starts for now until Kareem Hunt can be more familiar with the plays, comfortable with Patrick Mahomes. So for now, I think he's a bench stash for me. Don't make the mistake of starting him. I don't think he's going to put up the points you're expecting him to put up. People are going to see Chiefs running back elevated and be like, boom, start. I was going to make a bad joke, but I should refrain.
Please do.
I was going to say you might.
No,
Let's not
don't
get
say it.
canceled.
Don't
Let's
say
not
it.
get
Don't say it.
You might get kicked in the face for doing that. So,
Oh, it's over.
but
That was a
yeah,
nice run, guys.
Yeah, no, we're done.
I would shy away from him for sure.
I want to ask a question to all you guys here, quick, about the Chiefs' backfield. Is this one that you're just not going to play anybody? Like, because you're never going to know. I feel like this is going to be one of the most murky backfields in football, especially for fantasy. Because who are you going to pick? Kareem Hunt has not been very efficient. I mean, we kind of had a mini conversation on the waiver show, but he hasn't been the most ideal efficiency expert as far as a rusher. Carson Steele is an undrafted free agent that's now here. Pacheco's gone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is coming back. They still have Samaje Perine. Like, can you start any of these guys with confidence? Like, I know we're just talking about this week, but can you do it any week? Like, what do you guys think?
I feel like you just have to give it some time and let Hunt practice with the team a little bit. We'll see out of the three who is the favorite hot hand, I guess, per se. And then as a starting running back, you wouldn't really feel comfortable with any of them because of, like you said, Matt, there's so many people there. But I'd feel comfortable with at least putting in a flex spot for whoever wins that starting job. It's almost like the situation with Gus Edwards and Dobbins, where we're like, oh, who's going to be the starter? We're not too sure. Then everyone's like, oh, yeah, definitely Gus. And people drafted him, started him. I have pie on my face for doing that. And now Dobbins is the guy. So we have to wait and see. They'll probably play the hot hand, is my guess. I have a feeling that Hunt could do it with that Chiefs offense. I mean, he can catch the ball too, which is a plus for him. So we'll have to see. But I'm leaning towards Hunt. down the line, but for this week, definitely not. And we'll have to just wait and see. What do you think, Richie, on this crowded backfield?
On the credit backfield of the of
Chiefs.
the
Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs. Yes, I don't know why I just drew a blank there, but no, I mean I do agree with what you're saying there. Yeah, I have a situation right now where I have Samaje and I have Carson Steele, and I'm just trying to figure out what to do. But I'm definitely kind of hands off on Kareem. So
This is the Lions' backfield where they're all going to get about the same amount of work, but they're just not going to be as good. Like that's not part of their game.
True.
That's all I'm saying. So like it's going to be difficult, but we can move on now.
Yeah, I think for me personally, Carson Steele's the guy until he loses the job. I think. But this is also me as Pacheco owner, so I'm already damaged. So who am I to really say anything? But moving on to my sit of the week, and now this goes a little. I have an irrational hatred for this right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. My sit of the week is DeAndre Swift. Okay, so I need to get this straight. Okay. I have been watching this guy tease me for the last 3 years of football. Okay, on and off, good and bad, yada yada yada, and now he's here. Now he's here in this offense of literally so highly volatile rookie quarterback, new weapons all around. It's like this screams that DeAndre Swift, at least at the beginning of the season, should be probably picking up the reps at running back. So that way, he and should be doing good because then he'll find, because they got to really adjust themselves to this sort of scheme so that way they kind of figure out who gets the target share, how are we supposed to do things. And you know what the issue is? He's getting the he's getting the attention. I mean, he carried the ball 10 times in week 1, 14 times in week 2, 30 times in week 3. It's fine. It's there. Snap percentage, 70%, 63%, and then 53. It's only going down. What's going on? I've been watching this guy. I feel like this is I don't even know how to describe this. I feel like I'm getting pranked right now every time I draft this guy. Year in, year out, I'm watching this guy have 4 weeks randomly, have a field day, and then run away. I really want him to be fantastic. He's a short guy. I like my short guys. We all know that. We all know that the short kings are the best kings. Because that's the stigma that I got going on right now because of one comment that I made. Okay, but I really just iterate at this point you can't start him. He's not efficient. I don't know if it's because the line is bad, if he is bad, a combination of both. I don't know, but don't take the risk. Don't start him. I know people are putting him in running back 2, flex positions. Don't. Just pick any. I would rather start Carson Steele over DeAndre Swift. I'm sorry. I yapped. Go ahead.
Do you want to feel really, really bad, or just a little bad?
No. Go ahead. Hit me.
We'll hit it with the hard stuff. His average yards per carry this season. What do you think it is? I'll give you, just pick a number.
I'm gonna go with 2.3.
1.8. He would strive
so
for 2.3. That offensive line has been non-existent. It's been Swiss cheese. You can drive a Mack truck through that offensive line, which is why we've seen the struggles. So I think hopefully it gets a little better, but this is not the week. I mean, he's got the passing down work, which is what's elevating him to be a flex player, but I agree it's a little hard to start him. And he's one of the guys where you put in your lineup and you just don't look at the stats until later. You don't follow it through the week. You just
You're
sit there
scared.
and say, okay, I started him. I'm going to sit back and then, oh, look, he's got 6 points. Okay. All right. Okay. It's an ugly 6 points, but still points.
I'm sorry. I got very emotional there. Okay. It's just stressful. Okay. It's just bad. Okay. It's just bad. But enough about DeAndre Swift. We're done. Rich, please tell us who you got.
So my sit is going to be Garrett Wilson this week, playing against the Denver Broncos. Just similar to my conversation where I spoke about Tyler Conklin, it's the same thing where Patrick Surtain is the real deal. I think that he got the bag for a reason, and with that, Garrett Wilson, I'm not going to say sit him because you probably drafted him high, and you probably don't have a better option, but I would just temper expectations heavily this week. This is not going to be a good week for him, I imagine. But the Jets should still get it done with all the other options. We'll see. So I just would fade on Garrett Wilson.
All right, I'm going to jump in here with my sit of the week. It's going to be the Seattle running back, no matter who that is. I don't care if it's Ken Walker. I don't care if it's Zach Charbonnet. You're sitting them. Do not play them. This is a warning. Big flashing lights, warn, do not play. Over the past 25 games, the Detroit Lions have kept opposing running backs to less than 70 yards all but 6 times. That's 24% of the games a running back is going over 70 yards. And that's the whole position. So all opposing running backs, not just one. We have Charbonnet, who is averaging about 3.5 yards per carry right now and less than 20 opportunities per week. And that is with Ken Walker missing time. If Ken Walker is back, which I do not expect, you're not going to want to play him anyway because he's coming off an injury. So sit them both down. Unless they get lucky enough to score a goal line touchdown, you're not going to be happy. So just don't worry about it. Put him on the bench, and you'll thank me later.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%. I think that's very fair. I mean, Charbonnet doesn't look great. Walker, as you said, coming off the injury. It's just not fantastic at all in the slightest. But with that being said, that's our starts and sits for the week. Lots of stuff going on. We had a bit of fun here and there. But yeah, please, by all means, unless anyone has anything else to say, Matt, I think you... No? Okay, sorry. You looked like you had something to say there. My apologies. With that being said...
Good luck, Richie. That's what I need to say. Good luck this
Okay,
week.
there it is.
Go Richie.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, go Richie. Go Richie, yeah.
Well, I own Matt's first and second round draft pick.
Oh, okay. So
I'm praying for Matt's
So does
down.
everyone else. I don't have picks. So.
But yeah, with
else?
that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Please subscribe, follow, share, like, whatever platform you're watching on. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll see all of you around. Have a good one.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football podcast. Follow us on Twitter at TheHeroesFF.